Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order on Thursday, October 13th at 6:24. Roll call. Papua.
Here.
Mr. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Rudolph. And Abayana, present. Can everyone please stand for Pledge of Allegiance? Ms. Papua, can you lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I need a motion and a second for the approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda. Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Unanimous. This is Superintendent Veal. Do we have any public comments?
We do. Mr. Collier from Brisbane Elementary School District, Superintendent.
Oh, you gotta let more important people go before me.
You're
Today
the
you're
public
important.
comment, sir.
Wow, you know what? I'll take that.
There you go.
Where do I go?
You're going to stand right there,
Oh, beautiful.
and then we can have Ms. Wapua show the mic there.
Let me sing you a little song.
Go ahead.
Every time I see a microphone. So my name is Ronan Culver. For those of you that don't know, I'm the superintendent of the Brisbane School District. I would like to first start off by apologizing that I have been the superintendent for 7 years in the Brisbane School District, and this is the first time that I've been at one of your school board meetings. So I do apologize for that. It's been busy. It's
Great to have
been
you.
busy. I'm here today for one simple reason. I could give you a whole history lesson, which most likely I will. So at 3 minutes, you can cut me off. You can let me go. I'm okay.
We have 2 minutes, but we'll congratulate
You 2 minutes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I need you to understand wholeheartedly, and I can say this just so straightforward. The food program that we have put together between the Bayshore and the Brisbane School District is changing lives. It is that simple and it is that clear. We have less garbage in the way of plastic. We have less garbage in the way of food being thrown away because it's bad food. We don't have that problem anymore. This started actually in this building a couple years ago, and I came to a meeting with Dr. Pittman, and Dr. Pittman said, "We've got some pozole. Would you like to try some?" And I said, yes. And I sat in a meeting with Dr. Pittman, and I had some of the food that this school district makes. And I said, there's no way that I'm not going to have this for my children. We worked very hard. Dr. Pittman and myself started this. And the real credit, Merle, I'd love to give it to you, but we're going to give it to the ladies in the kitchen. And I came here, I met them, they were scared, we talked it out, we tried it, we failed, we tried it, we failed a little less, we tried it, we failed just a little bit. We've still failed here and there, as expected. I am here to tell you that my district is so thrilled over this relationship that we have made together. It is outstanding. I appreciate you guys so much. The school board, I hope you support this program. Elizabeth Veal has taken over where Dr. Pittman and I started. Merle, you are an outstanding individual. This has been great. I anticipated problems. We've had problems, little ones, really small ones. Our kids are eating good, nutritious, fresh food every single day. Kids are coming back for seconds every single day because of the food that this district is providing to my district. I don't know if everybody here knows, but we share a lot of things. We share a psychologist. We share an IT director. We now share a special ed program specialist. We have been doing professional development together. This is the way it's supposed to look, you guys. We are all here. You're here for the kids. I'm here for the kids, man. I'm not here for anything else. Food is the equalizer. It is the point that brings us all together. I'm going to actually bail on this meeting because I've got a meal. I'm at a conference and they're feeding me. Food is important to all of us. The food is good. It's fantastic. I thank you. And I'm here just today. I just got to thank you. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. There's a main thing that we had a food service vendor. We don't have a food service vendor. We have a partner with the Bayshore School District, and the Brisbane School District is so thrilled over what's going on. It is really super cool. Merle has worked her butt off, in case you don't know. She has worked tirelessly, right? Yes, she has. We've organized a system from 3 trial runs last year, 1 at each school, to serving food every single day, Merle. We've got a van, we've outfitted it, we've made changes, we've fixed it. We're going to continue to improve. We had a little setback yesterday, just a little one, and we fixed it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to know if you have any questions about my end of this deal.
The public comments
Yes.
at this time. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
your time.
I actually would like to take up the rest of your whole hour board meeting by just
I'm
saying
sure you
thank
will.
you over and over again. It's awesome. I invite all of you, please come and see the program, see how it works. It is simple and effective, and it is dynamite. I hope this continues for a very, very long time. And we've got some students here that eat your food. And I can tell you that I've got students on my end that are eating the food. I'm doing the hot dogs myself. I barbecue them myself, you know, because you got to have barbecued hot dogs. I mean, come on, it's a hot dog. And it's fantastic. So Merle, thank you. I appreciate all of your work. School board, thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing that.
All right.
Appreciate it. Superintendent Veal, are there any other public comments?
No.
Okay. Moving on to consent agenda items. I need a motion and a second to approve consent items.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Unanimous. All right, moving on to educational services lunch program update.
Yes.
I'll hand that over to Superintendent Veal.
Alrighty, so we have Ms. Sabado, who we know is a rock star, but she is going to give us an update. So you would please.
Well, I think Mr. Ronan said it all. So thank you. Good night. No, I'm just kidding. It's true. When it came to finally do it, it was really scary. Took a lot of convincing for our lunch ladies because they're the real rock stars here because they're the ones who are cooking. We've had little bumps in the road, but for the most part, I think we've opened up to more things on the menu that are different. We've had to take some stuff off, but as far as the partnership, I think it's running smoothly right now because of the constant communication between our district and Brisbane, so that we could fix things right away. And Ronan was right when he was talking about minor details that we have to fix because they are minor details because we're on top of it. There were bumps in the road. but we just had to ensure everybody that we will fix it because this is our first time. It was really scary in the beginning, really really scary because of all the things you have to think about and all of the workshops and trainings you take. It was a big job for us to take on. Um, we were totally against it at first, um, but if it's for the kids, it's for the kids. The food, I think the quality has gotten a little bit better because they know they're cooking for a bigger audience. I've actually opened up the menu to include whatever month we're celebrating. Like this month is Filipino Heritage Month. So every Wednesday there's a Filipino dish. Next month is Native American Heritage Month. I have a dish to share with the students to try, and I'm going to start sharing with Mr. Dyson and letting him know and Brisbane know what the dish is so that they could feature that. And then we're going to move on. I've done a lot of research on different foods, so I'm ready to tackle that and incorporate it into the menu. We've had to really modify the menu so that we could cook it and have it out on time. I think that's the biggest thing. And Ronan and his crew were a big help in fixing the delivery van because now it's modified so that we could keep the food hot still. So far so good. We're into our second month into the food program. Every time I go up there or I just pop in, the kids are always loving it. Today I had to work at Panorama and the kids were cheering because it was spaghetti with meat sauce. And they kept saying meatballs. And I'm like, no, it's meat sauce. And I look and they really look like meatballs. So they were super happy getting seconds and everything. So far, so good. On our,
How many total lunches are we serving
oh,
in school?
close to 600.
And that's both Brisbane and
Yeah, at first in the beginning, we had to lowball it to see how they would take it. I'm not kidding. Second week, we had to hike it up
you can imagine.
because the secretaries and staff were telling me it's not enough food. We weren't giving enough portions because everything's about portion control
Sure.
and the nutritional value, everything. And I have to always make sure that the staff are giving the right portions to the right age group. Let me tell you, those little ones could eat.
Sure. You got a lot of energy to burn.
I didn't know they could eat that much. So, yeah, it's been a challenge, but we're working through it. And I think as we go along, everything is gonna just work itself out.
Great.
Hmm?
Go ahead.
One sentence I want to quote that you just told you guys. Kids cheered for a school lunch.
You got it.
Enough.
So okay, when the food is delivered to your site and I know it's different distance, do you have temperature testers so that you fall in line and align with the guidelines with the state?
100% do. We have warming ovens at
Okay.
all schools that are turned on early in the morning. So the food's transported in
Right away.
containers in the
Okay.
van that maintain the temperature. The temperature checks when you get there and they're put in the warming ovens until served.
So for 2 months, we haven't had anybody that has a stomach ache from Brisbane yet. We're not looking at any lawsuit anytime sooner.
We've also
Okay.
even accommodated some of the students who have allergies.
Oh, perfect. That was my
and who are
next question.
vegetarians and who, even for the religious reasons, we've accommodated mostly everybody to an extent. My biggest thing is we can accommodate you, but if you're just one person, I'm sorry, then you're gonna have to, bring a lunch. But every time I get a message from Haley and say, can you do this? Can you do that? Yes. So we modify it. So every day there's always a vegetarian option going out. And then, of course, we send out the menu so that the parents can look at it and say, oh, my child can't have this, and they'll bring school lunch. And those were some of the questions that came up. So on their website, they have Q&A, frequently asked questions for the lunch program. So Haley puts it up there every time she has a question that she asks me, she puts it up there so parents can see. And dietary restrictions or anything like that, then I told her if she can send me a list of anybody who has any kind of allergies or anything. Everything is accommodated just like here.
Yeah, I mean, the food that we serve here, it's top notch. It's A plus since the day we've started this lunch program, because I recall when we used to have our other lunch program, there was a majority of food that was being thrown away, and students wouldn't eat it. And so at the time, our superintendent at the time brought this program together, with all the hard work and visits in Wahanda.
That was that.
Right. And now to have these nutritional lunches that the kids love to eat, it looks better than my lunch schedule during the week. So
I buy lunch every day. Sure.
there you go. And it's just rewarding to see all the different type of cultural foods that we're providing, from Asian to Latin to Filipino, and it's going to expand, I anticipate. So
Every month I try to put a different type of ethnic food in there,
Right.
and then we'll keep it on there. And of course, I'm thinking about surveying the students to see last month, our thing was Loco Moco. I introduced them to Loco.
I heard
Moco.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, we actually almost ran out. I was really nervous. So, yeah, those numbers are going to go up too.
Yeah.
It's going to be offered next month.
And I commend you all for all the hard work. I see what the kitchen staff do. I'm sure your plate is full with all you need to do to get all the foods together and stored. And thank you for everything you guys do. We appreciate it.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
With the increase of the numbers that we had to cook for, do we have enough storage, like refrigerator wise? And is there a need?
I'm actually trying. I went to a webinar yesterday, so I'm going to apply for a grant that's there, the kitchen infrastructure grant. We can actually use that grant to purchase a walk-in refrigerator. And if we do,
So I'm on I was on the same webinar and under the same grant. And we
The
have
2022
the vegetables and the fruit are all stored at our.
Yeah.
Mr. Superintendent, if you could stand at the
Okay.
podium, please, and we can get that on record.
So we store the food. The only way this works is that your cooks cook the food. And we've got your employees at each of my 3 schools working part-time. And what they're doing is they show up there, they work 10 to 2. All of the food is stored. I've hired a delivery person. They come, they take the food on Mondays or Tuesdays. And the milks, it's all stored at my schools so that your employees then show up to work and it's all stored in my refrigerators for the food that's going to be there. So we're not taking up any of your fridge time there.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the hot food, of course, that's going to be an impact because you're cooking the hot food.
Yeah, so what's stored at the different schools that our employees are cooking are just, they're creating the salads, the different kind of salads for the vegetable portion of the meal, and they're creating the fruit. They're cutting up all the fruit and stuff for that meal. So that's what they do. What we do on our end is we make all of the entrees. So with the entrees, there's always 1 or 2 vegetables you have to put in, or, stuff to add, like the meat is all in one freezer. But it would be great if we could just have that walk-in refrigerator freezer, because then it takes out the 3. And it'll be
Because I was
shelved.
gonna ask, how do you guys store everything?
Oh, yes.
But now I know that you have it with a smart plan.
Yeah.
So I
and-
mean, I can send out a full detailed what happens on my end to you guys. I can send it to you. I've
That'd be
created a
great.
document that I've shared with
Yeah.
my community and my board.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the grant that's coming out, I had the one last year
Yeah,
that
we
got
had the
most
one
of my
last year
stuff,
too.
and we're getting a new one. I have totally open to partnering with you guys as far as if you need the walk-in freezer and you need some of the funds that I'm getting, we'll contribute that as well.
Yeah.
100%.
Great.
We are, the Brisbane School District is committed.
It's recorded. It's recorded.
Teresa?
Say louder.
I think I'm well known. I am pretty sure. I know you are, and I wouldn't expect anything else. But I think most people that know me know that when I tell you something, this is what we happen. And so we are 100% committed from the get-go. When Dr. Pittman and I had this little brainchild of an activity, that this is not going to cost the Bayshore School District any money.
That's great. Thank you.
I'm a CBO
Yeah.
as well as the superintendent. I know what money means. And this will not cost your district a penny. It might cost a little bit of heartache and a little bit of stress.
Nice Christmas present.
You know what? I'm taking you to dinner. You can write that one down too in minutes. You betcha.
Yeah. We've
Yes.
worked it out. Like he said, we've worked out the kinks. So for us now, it's like if you walked in on a Monday and looked at the refrigerator and freezer, you'd be like, by Friday, because it's a weekly thing when we do the food. We don't ever let anything go to waste.
And I was
The
scared
ladies
to
know
death. I want them to know.
Yeah, we
When,
don't.
when
there's
day
no-
one, I actually did the delivery myself, and I came and got it. I did the cooking, the prep cooking at one of my schools for a week. I've got to see what happens. You know, if I'm telling people what to do, I got to see what happens.
we-
And
we
I
both
did the
it for a week.
delivery, and I loaded up three
Three
schools
schools.
with food, and I looked at it and I said, "How in the world are we going to eat all this? This is crazy,
Wasn't it?
Merle. You're out of control." And Friday,
Gone.
gone.
And that's the question I was going to ask next is how are we keeping track of the rotation of foods and the freshness? And how many days of supply of
It's only for a week.
vegetables? I'm sorry?
We only buy supplies for a week.
So a week supply.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a week supply. And
Good.
then as for the milk, every staff at every school knows to rotate the milk from the ones that are going to expire first. They go in the front and then they go in the back. I showed them all how to do
Great.
it. So the rotation is good.
Now, is there a standard operating procedure manual book that you guys have in any event that someone is missing one day or doesn't show up? Everybody's on board with what needs to happen?
My staff is equipped and well covered. We all went through. We got our food handler's card. I've had mine for years. My assistant Haley has hers. I got all three of my maintenance custodian workers all got their food handler's card. They step in. As a matter of fact, I believe I'm doing it at one of the schools. I think tomorrow. On Monday. Yeah.
Great.
We you know when people are out, yes. And I know that Merle has interviewed for some subs, and my staff is equipped and ready to go, and that we drop everything. Food to the kids is number one.
Sure.
And so we drop everything, we do it. I've had Ida, my assistant, in the kitchen with me. I'm actually a pretty good cook, to be honest with you. And so I enjoy doing it. And we've outfitted all of the kitchens. We've trained all of, I've got backup all on my end for all of that. And we've used that this week.
That's great.
Everybody here is certified too, and they have to do training before school starts because it's required by the state. So they completed all their hours of training. We're in compliance. Everything is in compliance because I would not even have them go in the kitchen if they're not certified in any of the requirements by the state. And knock on wood, we've passed all of our health visits.
Mhm.
When they come out to do the pass-fail, like for restaurants, we passed all of that.
Great.
All three of my kitchens have passed the inspections this year, and we've got our certificate hanging on the wall in all three kitchens.
Awesome. Is there any other questions, board members? Well, thank you guys so much again for
No.
everything you do.
Thank
Yeah.
you. This is really cool.
It takes a team. It takes a team.
You know what? It really does take a team. I
Yeah.
appreciate you saying that. And You're next door.
Yeah.
And
Literally.
there's no reason why we haven't been doing this before. In my opinion, with me here, and we've grown a lot of things with the districts, with the employees that we share, with professional development that we share. Dr. Pittman and I are very good friends. I'm about to have dinner with her, and I've really enjoyed getting to know Elizabeth Field, in these months. And hopefully she'll find a better mentor than me, because I'll lead her astray, what I mean? So we don't want that. So thank you guys. I mean, I will send you the documents, send the emails of everybody on the board, so you can see my operation on my end and how it works. It's spelled out in word detail. Everybody does.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy dinner.
All right. Moving on to business and fiscal services. I'd like to hand this over to Superintendent Veal. This is regarding with the new contract at the San Mateo County of Education for CBO services.
Yes, thank you very much. So we've discussed a little bit about this before. We were contracted with Sandra Stent as our CBO, and she is an incredible resource. She wanted to reduce her hours, and so she retired from CBO support as of September 30th. And I was speaking at the beginning of the year with San Mateo County Office of Education about supporting small schools, actually continuing a conversation that Dr. Pittman started along with my other superintendent colleagues of very small districts about getting county support with some of our services. And so the new Assistant Superintendent of Business, Kevin Bultima, reached out to me after I reached out to him, and we were able to come up with an agreement that is very much in line with what Ms. Stent was providing the district. So I'm really excited that that the CBO services have been seamless in this transition. A bonus that came out of our relationship with Ms. Stent, and really the relationship that Ms. Legaspi has had with her over the years is that we are also the benefit or the beneficiary of her support with some fiscal management. We'll have future conversations about responsibilities that lie on the wonderful people here at Bayshore. One of the incredible people is Ms. Legaspi, and her plate is very full. She's not only an incredible executive assistant, but she's also the fiscal manager. And one of her responsibilities as a fiscal manager is accounts receivables and payables. And that's actually, I would say, a good portion of her job. And she does an incredible job with it. She was actually on vacation for 2 weeks, and the district shut down when she was gone. And so her value is immeasurable. And so I really want to make sure that she's happy and she has the support that she needs to be successful, as with every employee here. And so when Sandra said, Ms. Stent said that she would be able to provide some additional support to us, not only in the CBO transition, but also with regard to accounts receivables and such, we immediately thought that that was a great idea. So one thing that was, there were two things that are attached to the agenda. One is the agreement with San Mateo County Office of Ed with regard to this CBO services. And then the other one is the consultant agreement that we have with Ms. Stent to support some fiscal management and the transition of the new CBO. We've been meeting with Vanita Singh, who is the new CBO that we're working with, and she's also really wonderful. So I couldn't be happier. But it's important that you know that we are maintaining our fiscal responsibilities, and that I'm very pleased with the transition that's happening.
Great. Thank you. Board have any questions or comments regarding this item on the agenda? So the board has had the opportunity to review this contract. I need a motion and a second to approve the contract for contract services consultant for Sandra Stent.
Motion to approve.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. Aye. Thank you. And moving next to superintendent reports, I'd like to hand this over back to Superintendent Veal.
Okay, so we have a few items in my update. The first most pressing one is that we have two board openings that we need to fulfill. So as you know, Trustee Gutierrez Pilar announced her resignation to being a board trustee effective July 8th. And as of a result of there not being any candidates to run to fill the opening, we need to do something called appointment due to failure to elect. And this appointment process needs to be completed before Election Day, which is November 8th. And so there are a few things for you to consider. We have started the process, and by we, I'm talking about Ms. Legospi and I. One of the first steps is to post this opening. So we have put a posting in the San Francisco Chronicle. We will also be having the posting available on our website. And that posting refers to the opportunity for interested candidates to pick up a candidate info sheet, wherein the candidate will fill this out and turn it in to the office by October 24th. I will review and confirm that the candidates meet the criteria to be a board member, which is primarily to live in our district boundary. And then we need to get an interview date. So the interview is done at a regular board meeting, a public board meeting, and we have a special board meeting scheduled for October 27th. And that was to go over the process of the superintendent evaluation. There is the option to amend the board meeting schedule to make that a regular board meeting to conduct the interviews. So historically, you've had interviews and the appointment process done very close together. Given the timeline, it is recommended that the interviews and the appointment take place in one meeting. But if you want to schedule two, that's completely your prerogative. So if you go with my recommendation to have a regular board meeting on October 27th, we can always schedule another date for the special board meeting. And that is actually something related to my next update. But I want to first make sure that we are picking a date for the regular board meeting so that we can conduct the interviews. It would need to be after the 25th because that's when I'm going to confirm the eligibility of the interested candidates, and before November 8th, which is Election Day.
Okay, so I think that would be the soonest date is on the 27th, correct?
If you want to maintain the Thursday schedule.
I'm fine with the Thursday schedule. I'll ask my colleagues if they're available on the 27th, and that would be at 6:15?
Yes, it would be a regular board meeting. We had all chosen the 27th, so
Right.
that should be a day that everyone is available.
No conflicts.
Thursday's okay.
We have something to do on that day.
So that was supposed to be a special board
Yeah,
meeting.
that was a study session.
So we can make it a regular board meeting and conduct the interviews that day. And you can determine from the candidates interviewed two that you would like to appoint to have a full board of 5 members.
Okay.
And then that would meet the November 8th deadline.
Do we have any candidates?
Mr. Rudolph has indicated that he would
Running for a seat. Again.
file,
Yeah.
that he would like to be on the board. So I'm assuming he will apply for an appointment. When we had our election conversation earlier, you mentioned that you might know 2 people. I don't know if any of you have.
I think we should keep that as a, because that's more important. It's really important. It's coming up very soon too. So keeping the 27 as a regular board meeting, we can do that. So I agree to that.
Great.
And then we can pick another day for a special meeting
Mhm.
afterwards.
Okay, so I believe we have a consensus. Go with that
So
date.
for the time being, I think it's been good to share with the whole community, not just us board members, that everybody's a candidate if they want to at this point.
Yes.
Absolutely. So anyone listening to our meeting this evening, if you're interested in applying to be a candidate, please, the info sheet will be available on our website. Mr. Dyson will put that up there. And you'll need to turn it in to the district office by 4:59 p.m. on the 24th of October.
That's the deadline.
That is the deadline.
All righty.
Okay. I do want to mention that the timeline and the guidelines that we're following are from the CSBA filling a vacancy packet that was attached to the agenda.
Mhm.
And everything's according to Ed Code. So I appreciate everyone being flexible and prioritizing
Right.
this date.
Thank you.
Okay, so my next item, I'm going to combine the items. So superintendent evaluation and the strategic planning process. So I've spoken about my ideas with regard to how we can collectively join together and move the district in a direction that we're all excited about. And to me, that starts with the strategic planning process. So technically, the definition, and I'm going to read it so I don't misrepresent, the strategic planning process is a process in which an organization's leaders, and I want to emphasize the S in leaders, define their vision for the future and identify their organization's goals and objectives. Our district has a vision and mission, and we have done some really strong work under your leadership and previous superintendents' leaderships to serve our students. But given the fact that I'm new and we have new staff members, I do think it's important to revisit a conversation around our values and where we're going in the future. So I would like to engage in a strategic planning process, and that is something that will also inform, I believe, what my evaluation will be focused on. The kind of process that I would like to propose is that you as a board, we have a couple of board meetings to revisit priorities and to establish what your priorities are, because that will start to guide the conversation that we then have with staff, parents, and students around our values, our priorities, our missions, and our vision. From there, that will then inform the goals that we have with the LCAP. That will inform how you are evaluating my leadership in the direction of our priorities and goals. And I hope will lead to the outcomes that we have as a result of our discussions. So I'm more just right now stating what I feel the need is in terms of how we move forward with making sure that we're doing what we intend to do to support the growth and development of our students and staff. And so over the next couple of months, I'd like to come to board meetings with more of a solid plan and start to share in the process of the planning. So it's really just my update here is just to tell you that this is my thinking. And if you have any questions or suggestions about how you would like us to move forward, I would love to talk to you about that.
Sure. Thank you. I'll open the floor to any questions any of the board members have with regards to this on the agenda.
I'm sorry?
I just lost it.
Okay. I have a question.
Yes.
So there are lots of ways to do a strategic planning process. One way that I have found very effective is to work with a graphic organizer recorder. I've been part of a district's strategic planning process as a principal, never as a superintendent, but the value that comes from these collective conversations is really quite powerful. It gets everybody on the same page, and what the organizer recorder does is provide a visual of the mapping of the conversations. And so that's where I want to put some of our resources into having someone who is going to capture the conversations that are happening here as the board, that's happening as a part of our staff, that's happening as a part of our parent meetings, that's happening as a part of getting student input. And so I'm curious, has Bayshore gone through a process similar to this in the past?
Not that I know of,
Okay.
not really.
It's not something, being that this is my first term and going on 2 years, I've never had any conversation within our board meeting or with the superintendent with regard to that.
Okay.
In particular. But it's great. And I'm
Okay.
glad that we're moving in that direction. And it's also a reason why you're now here as a leader, and our superintendent. One of the things I do want to highlight too is, Superintendent Veal has been sending us weekly updates, letters, and it's sent out to the board. And it's an opportunity for us to kind of get a glimpse of what's going on during the week, and knowing what she's doing. But having that information really helps us understand what is actually going on here at the school. And it prepares us more as we go further into board sessions, that for one, we're developing this relationship. And for two, we're actually doing the work. And that's what it takes. With the strategic planning, we talk about equity in our school district. Those are the things that we really need to focus on and trying to get us back on track to making sure that we reach student achievement, through this process. I mean, ultimately, that's what we need to focus on. But in order to get there, we have all this work ahead of us that needs to take place. And it's going to take time. We all know it's not going to happen overnight. Coming off of a 2.5-year pandemic, we have to be prepared. And the only way to be prepared is through conversations, through planning, and putting all our ideas together for the future of this district. Yeah.
our organization just, we're in the midst of strategic planning. And what we did is, it was a collection of all the surveys that we have been done so far within the organization. I heard you were talking about somebody from outside to come in, sort of collecting. So we're overseas, you know, it's really good to have somebody from external to come to see it from their perspective, from his or her perspective of what goes on in them. Because we know what goes on in the school, in Bayshore. Staff knows what goes on, the community knows what goes on. But to having an outsider come see it confirms it from their, his or her eyes. But we did survey, and we had a flyer that went out, and it went out to the staff, you know, the staff, and also I'm sorry, I'm not used to these things unless I'm singing. And so we have that flyer went out. It's just keeping, you know, emphasizing and enlightening the staff about this strategic plan. Because it's, to me, a strategic plan will not work if not all of us are on, all hands on.
Mhm.
So even if we sing strategic plan and we have this big old plan of how to do a strategic plan, at the end of the day is, are we going to use it? Are we going to even implement it? So when I hear strategic plan, it's those two powerful words, you know, our mission and vision, our statement, our LCAP goals, you know, the climate, you know, of what goes on in the. So I'm all board for if we have to take that route for the strategic plan to make it happen, as long as I'm on board.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? So I believe at this point, we're just trying to move forward to set some dates on when we can.
So my next step, so to me, there's kind of three steps in this process. The first one is data collection. And one, I'm going to take a slight sidestep and address something that you mentioned, Trustee Avelana, and that was my weekly letter to the board. One theme that was very important, that I took to be very important from my interview, was communication. And so that letter is one part of the paths of communication that I intend to use to make sure that you're informed. My other path I've not started, but I will start, and that is that those are updates to the staff. I think it's very important that that I am sharing my thinking, my updates that I provide you here at the board meeting with our staff, because not everyone can listen, not everyone can attend, and it's the next step in making sure everybody has access. So I will be starting newsletter communications with the staff. I will also start to visit classrooms more often. Right now, my connections with classrooms have been just more popping in, speaking with students if there was some input that I needed, visiting occasionally. I like to pop into preschool, but most of my days are served with receiving new information and figuring things out. So I have not been as present in classrooms as I intend to be. But as I, as the second month is coming to a close, and as I am more able to start to be in classrooms, those visits will become more intentional. But they will also serve as my first step in gaining an understanding what a student's experience is. It's going to be a small snapshot, but it will at least start to give me an understanding of of a snapshot of what's going on in the classrooms. So that's one part of the data collection that I'll do. The second part will start with conversations that we have here as the board. And I don't want to have those conversations. I don't want to start to schedule those conversations until January. And my reason for that is that our next board meeting will be the interviews and the appointment process. So that's October 27th. Then we have 2 scheduled board meetings that will be November and December. Right as soon as Halloween hits, things get crazy, right? And it's really important that these conversations are intentional, people are present, they're strategic, and they're well organized. And I would not be able to pull something off by November for that, quite frankly. So, and there's front loading that's going to be my responsibility to do so that I'm not wasting anyone's time. So my intent is to start our conversation as trustees and superintendent in January. There's also a lot of homework I have to do to be able to plan these conversations. And then what I need to do, and I've started this a little bit, is work with Principal Baker, and in the contract, in the BTA contract, the teachers union is part of the conversation to establish Wednesday PD topics. And so those topics have been established, but there's flexibility. And so I want to make sure that I'm following the correct steps to get input about how to structure these conversations with staff. And then we need to make sure we're structuring parent info nights to be able to engage in with the parent community in these conversations. And then we also need to make sure that we're having student input. So this is a multi-layered process. And part of the reason for having the graphic organizer recorder is so that I can engage and facilitate, and someone else is capturing what we're talking about. It's very important. It's very hard to facilitate and take notes. And I want to make sure I'm present in these conversations. So I say this because it's going to take planning. It's going to take scheduling. And the idea is that we're having these conversations at the same time we're establishing the goals for our district, and which will be captured in my evaluation as well as the LCAP. So it's all interwoven. Because the strategic plan should include, should embody our priorities, your priorities as a board, our mission, values, and purpose as a district, our goals, and our work. So,
Yeah,
that was a lot. Sorry.
that was. Thank you. Thank you for
You're welcome.
all that important information. And these are the things I look forward to this year and the many years ahead of us. Is it all starts here, and yes, it starts at the top and it works its way down. But as we mentioned earlier, leaders, we're all leaders, and if we're not leading the direction that we all set our goals to be, we're never going to get there. And it takes everyone to communicate, to be transparent, to actually do the work, to make sure that we maximize all that we do for the sake of our students. It's very important for them to be at the highest level of achievement, to ensure that when they move on from elementary into middle school and they go into high school, that they're prepared. And it's very important that we do this work in preparing for their success. But again, it takes a lot of effort for all of us to communicate. Like Superintendent Veal said, communication is one of the key things. And it's one of the biggest topics because we know what happens when we don't communicate. Things kind of just don't appear. They're just not there on the surface. So again, I'm looking forward to the strategic planning process that we're going to endure. And I'm excited. I'm excited. Is there any questions anyone has on the board?
Well, I appreciate the order of everything that is on your plate. Um, I like to see it happen, and also January. I feel, I don't know. We always have time to meet with you, Ms. Veal, and I wanted to give up that. To me, I wanted to give up that time. I really suggesting to meet with your staff, to take time to meet with the staff, starting from the principal down, and then make those prioritize those areas instead with having the conversation with me. I know that we're going to go to December to the board thing. We can have some convos over there, but to me is I don't want you to give up. You know, I know that you want to schedule for January to have those conversations and meeting with us, with the board members. I think I can speak for myself. I can always schedule time with you anytime, but I want the focus to be, the other things you were mentioning, meeting with the families, stuff like that. Let that be the top first before meeting, with me, because I know that we have time. I know you have a lot on your plate. Thank you for being honest and being able to share what your vision is in the order that you wanted to do it to make it happen. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. And I too prioritize the staff, parent, and student input. The catch is that it all starts with the board priorities. So you're going to start off your collective understanding of your priorities is what's going to lead the work. So that conversation is very important. I forgot to mention that my other reason for starting in January is that we won't have a full board until the December reorg meeting. So hopefully we'll have 5 board members. And then when we have a conversation in January, it will be that collective conversation. But it starts with the board.
Yeah.
and then
that's why, I
will
mentioned
go.
earlier, as leaders, it goes from the top down. So we're going to set the direction, and that's how we're going to be able to evaluate Superintendent Veal during this process. So, we set the direction, and she's the one that delivers. She's the one that makes all the magic happen here at the school with the staff that she has, the great staff that we have here at Bayshore. And that's what's exciting. And, thank you for verbalizing the fact that, you're going to be visiting classrooms and you're going to get into the trenches of what is in the school and what's going on in the school. I know I haven't made my rounds yet. I'm anticipating very soon to make some visits because I think it's important, because I need that information too, so we can have that conversation and the board can have that conversation. So like I said, there's a lot of work to do and we'll get there. And I'm very confident of the direction that we're moving towards, and we'll make it happen. It takes a team. Together, everyone
Achieves more.
That's there
right.
you go.
Yes, and I appreciate that you did squeeze me into your schedule this month. So it's been a little while, but I need that.
Absolutely.
And I would encourage the board to take advantage of the weekly letters that we receive from Superintendent Veal, because I look forward to them every week. I sometimes I'm looking for them on a Sunday and I don't get them on a Monday maybe, but it's a lot of information and I'm actually starting to file them. I have a nice folder and I'm collecting them, so I get to revert back, maybe because I missed something or I like to reread. So again, I want to thank you for being transparent with that information. All right, does anyone have any questions on the board?
Thank you.
Okay. Moving next on to board reports. Any board members? I'll start with Ms. Valpua. Ms. Valpua. October.
Yeah, October is a good month. Um, I'm looking forward to the upcoming events. I know that I haven't been making my rounds to school. It's really hard when you're in charge of things. Um, I know I've been missing out to in participating to the block party meetings. We have been so busy. But I will be making some rounds soon. And then looking forward for the block party too as well. And being able to attend with Superintendent Veal to that breakfast leadership, just see what they have there for us, Bayshore. The read as you go, walk and read thing in the top of the libraries, it's soon in place, and also that project for the Avio. It's called the Avio B program that they're planning to put over there on top of the Bayshore next to the libraries. So more to come information on that. But thank you. Thank you. It was really nice to hear the food program. That's very, we're like the little train that could, and we had just come out a lot of way. I just have one question. Thank you for all the staff. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the good works. I just need to follow up on how our after school program is, our pin, how are they doing? And I know that we gave them, I don't know if we gave them a sort of a timeline to occupy to come up with staffing, or what is our next route on that, and how many children still are waiting for on the wait list. Carrie, are you there, Carrie? Oh,
He's here.
Yeah, I can give an update. You guys want me to go right there?
Yes, please.
take it away.
I know this is not on the agenda, but we'll go ahead and squeeze this in.
Thank you very much. Yeah, if you guys don't know, I am the site director for BGCP, formerly the site director or area director for Mid-Peninsula Boys and Girls Club. Happy to be here and happy to update. I went through several interviews last week and a couple this week, and we should be fully staffed by the end of October, and they go through the onboarding process. So yeah, really excited to share that news with you guys.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
That's it for me. Thank you.
I need Jerry back up here again. Just wanted to piggyback on food program. So sorry. Yeah, so I have unfortunately not been able to taste the food or be part of the committees or whatever to have a sample. So I'm going to have to make time to do that. And thank you for that presentation. So also in this month, I've had at least 3 opportunities to be in the community, and one of them, actually 2 of the opportunities were with Peninsula Family Services at Midway. They were launching the child care being established, newly established. Thank you. And, part of communication is making connections. So I've been making connections and asking questions, and some of those questions will be answered forthcoming in emails. And I want to update, as I get the answers to questions like, I've been approached to find out what is the after-school situation. And I believe Peninsula Services has an after-school program as well. So I wanted to know if you're reaching out to other organizations, nonprofit in the community to get, get them employed or connected.
Yeah, so we already went through like a process of just reaching out to the community stores and other schools, help with posting spots we had available. After going through that process, we were able to fill those spots.
About collaborations as far as programming
Collaboration.
with other organizations.
Yeah, as of now, this year, I can also share. So just wanted to start off the ground, all of the programs that they have, which was just the Kimiko kits, the Mind Works, then after just setting foot and just building some stability, building those partnerships with other organizations, we're totally open to that, but as of now, I can't say. But I can share that with the block party. I have a volunteer team supporting that block party. And I know that this Saturday, there's a Bayshore cleanup. So I will be there and try to bring a presence as well to support the community as well.
Sounds good, because I've invited some of these other organizations to the block party. So we'll see. They do. Yeah, I think that's it. Just making connections. It really helps open up where people really feel they have a need, to grow and develop. So things do change in the community. So I appreciate that. Me.
Great, thank you. I just have a couple of things. I know if everybody's probably heard or seen on the news about what's going on in some of the school districts with some of the false shootings and things like that. I think here at Bayshore, I really feel confident and very comfortable with all the drills that we have in place, active shooter drills. But I think it's very important for us as a district and for all our staff to know that we're confident. We're confident in any case of, despite what's going on in neighboring schools or anywhere in our community, I always feel that we have a plan in place to keep everyone safe, especially our students. So I wanted to just mention that so that everybody is aware that, we are aware of what's going on in the community and other communities surrounding us. On another note is the Bayshore Block Party that's coming up. I'm excited. This is the third annual block party that's happening in this community. I'm also on the committee, and I'm so happy to say that I'm very joyful about all the members that are on this committee. We have staff that are on there. We have the PTO, but it's evolving. It's evolving over time for the last few years, despite the pandemic. But to see everyone take, responsibility of their areas is very important in making this event happen. And it's a huge undertaking, but that's what it takes. I commend PTO for what they've done in bringing the meetings together and making sure that we're going through all the details. There's going to be a lot of food, a lot of dessert vendors. I know on Saturday, October 15th, they have a Bayshore cleanup from 9 to 12. And on Friday, the 28th, after school, they're going to be setting up some of the barricades on Oriente and Turin for no parking. So those are the the key dates that we're looking at. There's going to be live performances. I'm sure on Bayshore TV, Mr. Dyson has been doing an awesome job plugging in all that information because I watch my daily Bayshore TV news. So again, I love it. But again, thank you, everyone. I'd like to thank all the staff. I'd like to thank the parents. And here we are. You know, we're closing into the end of this year shortly, and looking forward to even a brighter year next year. So again, I know we got a lot of work to do, but every day makes me happy to see everyone here doing the work. So thank you. And is there anything else? You good? Okay. And the last item is adjournment of this meeting. We'll close this meeting at 7:35, and we will take a 5-minute break, and we're going to go into closed session meeting at 7:40. Thank you.